Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the Sovereign Women Movement podcast, where it is our mission and movement to transform the lives of women and their lineages. Our mission is to disrupt ancestral karmic patterns of emotional pain and trauma, creating a supportive sanctuary house for spiritual self realization, for self awareness, and for holistic healing. Join us as we explore the most holistic, effective strategies for lasting personal and generational change. Today, I'm really excited and honored to welcome our guest, Dr. Marcia Martin. She is the heart healer, love that. She is a spiritual empowerment counselor, metaphysical minister. She's a best-selling author, public speaker, and clairaudient angel communicator. Very excited to talk about that, specializing in helping people heal their relationship with themselves. By healing the heart of all past pain and trauma, you'll be able to establish and maintain healthy relationships with yourself and all others so you can live a successful life, she says. Her unique heart centered energetic healing approach, the angel heart healing technique, enables you to build the perfect relationship with yourself and helps you answer the questions: who am I? Why am I here? And where am I going? Marcia will help you release your greatest fears so that you can achieve your biggest dreams as you heal your heart and transform it. Welcome, Dr. Marcia Martin. How are you today?
Great and excited to be here. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for joining us. As I was reading your bio as it came through and I looked at the work that you were doing, I was just so excited and honored to have you as a guest on the podcast because a lot of the work that you do speaks on so much of the generational healing that is part of our movement here at the Sovereign Moon Movement podcast. And I wanted to start by asking you a little bit of like your background. Were you someone that grew up around a lot of spiritual practices? Were you very religious, or what was it that led you to the work that you're doing today?
God was definitely a part of the home, but it was not a nice God. It was spirituality was nowhere in that house. It was very rigid and very much the understanding that you could sort of buy your way into God's affection. And you did that with acts of service and donations. So we were always encouraged to be very service oriented in our life, myself and my siblings. However, I, as the sensitive sort of oddball one of the family, got a different message than the rest of everyone else. So, yeah, they did their acts of service and certainly were giving people, but I was the one that took it to the extreme of I only have value if I am giving, and I don't have any value if I am allowing myself to receive in return. So I created this very imbalanced way of living, saw myself sort of as the family chameleon. What color do I need to be in order for you to feel better? But also deeply shy and didn't feel that I fit well. So always looking for ways to hide, be less than, and just be invisible to some degree. So no, spirituality was not in that in that home. And I deeply despised God by the time I was in high school.
Oh my gosh, that's so interesting because you would think, with the work that you do today, perhaps you were like involved with a lot of meditation and spirituality growing up. Was there something particularly that made you, because your story is actually so common with women, with especially when they go through a lot of challenges in their life. I feel like when people go through trauma or negative experiences in life, that two things happen. Either they get closer to God or farther away from God. So, what was the reasoning, or what was the major fuel that was keeping you in this kind of separation or negative relationship with God, would you say?
I think it was because the religious context, the framework of religion, and this happens to be Presbyterian. We started at a church called Stone Church of the Brethren, which is sort of almost a puritanical version. I didn't relate well to that. It was just rules and regulations, and it didn't feel to me as though I could ever be enough for that particular God. That God sat in a chair in the sky and waited for us to screw up. And I always felt like I was screwing up. So I didn't have any relationship with that God. We did a confirmation service, I think about 13 or something like that. And I remember at that time wanting to understand Jesus,
Mm.
but also being very angry at Jesus and saying, I don't understand why you're not here now. Why were they good enough for miracles then, but we're not good enough for them now? And, what kind of nonsense is this that people can be hurt and in pain and you just don't show up? So I knew that there was something there. I just could never get my hands around the part that would gel for me. And it just became this sort of love hate. There's something there that I want, but I don't know what it is. And I'm so angry that you would leave us when we're in this turmoil, or that you would allow people to live these lives that are so hurtful and cruel and unkind. It was just always these questions and this confusion, but never a relationship.
Yeah, so relatable, so relatable. So what was it that actually, what was the pivotal turning point? What led you to then even consider becoming a metaphysical minister, or to start talking about spirituality?
Well, I was lucky enough in high school. I started it. We had Uri Geller, who was bending spoons, and we had Kreskin, who he was doing ESP, and it became interesting, not acceptable, because it was called the paranormal. It wasn't, you were still weird, but it became suddenly interesting to look at the way other things could be. So that got me interested, and I began searching, but then went to college and needed to be normal. So we let go of all that again. But then I went back to my master's program. I'm a little older, not part of the regular student body at this point, had already been out working for a while. And there was one professor there who did a class on expanded consciousness. And that I just ate that up. That was fabulous. We would go do meditations and healing labs, and I took Silva mind control classes, and I became really involved in that kind of thinking and way of being. And I remember them saying, wow, you're really good at this. But my master's program ended, and I said, well, I got to go back to the real world. And I let go of all of it again. It's still no relationship, just an interest. Let go of it all again, and then made my way deeper and deeper into the darkness, into the pain, into the betrayal, into the confusion, the failure, the loneliness, all that. Just kept digging myself deeper and deeper and deeper into that until there was just do something or quit. And I didn't feel that I could leave this life because my children were still dependent on me. And my husband at the time is a nice person, but my children I didn't feel comfortable that they would be well supported by that person. And so it was just kind of do or die. It die got X'd out. That just was not going to happen. And so I had to find a way. I had to find a way forward that would lead me out of the darkness that I had continuously been aligning myself with. And so that was when I began reopening to the possibilities. Then it was like, hell, I've tried everything else. And the search began. And when you're searching, then things begin coming to you. So then I discovered affirmations and read a really inspirational account of a woman who overcame her painful life. And then a friend sent me EFT. And then none of that was enough. It actually made me angry again because I was like, none of these stupid things are doing anything for me. So finally, I ended up at the library in the religion and spirituality section because I love to read. And so there was no money for courses or any kind of support. It was just me and the books. And that was when I think I just was so lost and so ready now to try anything that was when I began reopening to the possibilities and receiving their guidance and direction.
Oh, wow. So at that point then in your life, is that where the angel communication started?
Well, I want us all to know that each one of us comes hardwired with a way to communicate with the energetic realm. We just don't always remember what that way is. So for me, the dominant sense is that I can hear them, but we can see them, we can feel them, we can hear them, we can just know that they are with us. Everybody has some way to communicate. It's not that you can't, it is that you are not aware of it and may not be practicing it. And because you're not practicing it, that connection may become very minimal. And so you just don't know that it's there. Life is very busy. And this little teeny tiny sensation may not be enough to get your attention. So I just rediscovered what I always knew was there, but it wasn't until I was willing to say, I give up. Nothing works. All of this is just a waste of time, but I still feel drawn to it. So, okay, what, how, what am I supposed to know? What am I supposed to learn? Help somebody. And that just being so vulnerable, so broken, so ready allowed me to begin reopening that connection.
Okay, so you're saying that all of us have access to that since we're born. So as a child, did you ever have those sensations, or do you feel like they weren't they were there, but you kind of didn't know how to explain them?
Well, as a child, now looking back, I realize, oh, I used to talk with the angels for hours, but I had no idea while I'm playing in the woods with my little acorn teacups, I have no idea that I am talking with a, an energetic presence. I'm just talking with these lovely little things that are playing here at my tea party with me.
Mhm.
So, it never really connected that when I'm talking to my dolls or I'm doing this or that or whatever, the conversation that I'm having that is in my head is with another being and not myself.
Yeah. Okay, so then what started to happen once you said yes to this communication? Is it sounds like you did a lot of your own personal healing work and almost like you became more sensitive to this communication. Was it at the beginning, was it like very direct where this is where your programs came into play, like the heart healing technique, or did that take some time to develop? How was the communication?
Oh no, it was a long journey. It was not quick. I always had that interest, as I said, we were calling it paranormal, always had an interest in the energetic realm. That was
Mm,
something that never left. And I also always wanted a partnership or a friendship with Jesus. Those were the two things that were incredibly consistent, but that I could not understand how they would fit together. I wanted them, but I didn't think that I deserved them or that I could ever have them. So it meant book after book after book that just kept saying, this is possible, this is possible, this is possible, and might give little techniques so that I would try or something like that. But I think the one thing that kicked me in the butt hard enough for me to really get started was a book by Abraham Hicks. And it said, and I'm brand new to the beginning of this journey, because we're never brand new to any journeys, but I am now deciding my life has got to change. And I'm still looking for people to blame, things that are caused me to go off the rails, and formulas or ways of being that I can apply to myself, gifted to me from the outside. Nothing is going on in here. Everything is still on the outside. No responsibility. Just look at this. I'm a good person, and all these bad things just keep happening to me. Poor me, poor me, poor me. It really hurts, but you know, big sigh. So I get this book from Abraham Hicks from the library. First line says, "You are where you are because of the thoughts that you have been holding and the words that you have been saying."
Yeah.
That book went back to the library so quickly, it might have been on fire. It was at least 6 months of further disasters before I was willing to look at the fact that I could be participating in my life adventure. So it wasn't speedy. 6 months just to get to the point where I was like, do you think I had something to do with this? And then probably another 5 years before I realized at this point, I'm trying to read anything I can on manifestation. First, oh, we can manifest? Oh, amazing. Then grab everything I can about how to manifest without any understanding that I already am. So I'm coming at everything. I don't know how to do this. I need to learn how. And never saying to myself, hey, wait a minute. If I am powerful enough to manifest all of this unwanted stuff in my life, I must be powerful enough to manifest that which is wanted. Just that took maybe 5 years of, why can't I manifest? Why can't I manifest? What's wrong with me? What's going on here? Always looking at what's wrong, never taking accountability, never looking at what's right. And then suddenly light bulb goes off and I'm like, wait a minute. If I'm creating all of this really awful stuff, I must be a powerful creator. That little moment then opened the door for me to receive this whole technique of going into the heart and clearing away the debris. Then my life really started changing quickly, but it was a long struggle to understand everything begins and ends here. And if this is okay, your life will reflect that. It was always, the book says I'm supposed to do it this way. So if I just follow the book's instructions, I should be okay. And of course, the book is just a guide. You are the leader. You are the creator. You are the power behind whatever it is that you are needing to create. And nothing except you is as important in your life as you are. There is no outside force. There is no other anything that can do to you anything that you have not agreed to. And by that, I mean, so there's no cult, no brainwashing, no anything that can be done to you without your agreement. And then people, I didn't agree. That was me. I never agreed to these bad things. I'm a good person. And then they said, hey, you have a conscious and a subconscious. So by placing into your subconscious a belief system that says, I am not worthy. Others are more important or more intelligent or more capable than I am. You are stating agreement for others to come in and then dictate to you how your life is going to be.
Mm.
And our heart, this energetic heart center, governs that subconscious mind. So if we want to get the subconscious right so that we can go offline and not drive ourselves into a ditch, we need to begin in the heart center and clear away all of those limiting beliefs, all of the past pain and trauma, all of the stuff that we've picked up and are trying to hold for other people. We just need to let it go. Let it go and then replace it with universal truth, with the understanding that you are safe and loved. You are a beautiful being. You're a child of God. You are seen as perfect. Begin there and move out from there instead of collecting everybody's garbage and all these societal beliefs and then saying, I don't know why I can't seem to make anything positive happen in my life. It's too hard. Don't do it the hard way. No heavy lifting required. Release all of this. Begin fresh, begin with truth, and you will see how much easier it is for you to progress.
Mm. It's so powerful, so beautiful. I want to get into more of that because it's so relevant. But by the same token, I think a lot of people feel that it's difficult. So sounds like you were already being guided to heal your own heart in order to do the work that you are doing. What exactly, a couple of questions around that. When you talk about healing past trauma, what have the angels or what's your opinion as it relates to this being generational pain that needs to be dealt with? And also, what does it really look like to be able to let go or to heal the heart, especially from things like generational trauma?
Well, I think the thing to remember is that everyone has the same energy in the heart at your core. This is your connection with the divine, and meeting you in this heart space is the energy of unconditional love and acceptance, which to me is represented by the Christ that I call Jesus, just because that's the way I grew up. It has nothing to do with religion. I just remember probably being about 5 in a Sunday school classroom, looking up and seeing a brown-haired, green-eyed Jesus sitting there with a lamb and thinking, oh, and curly hair. And I thought to myself, oh, Jesus is just like me. Now, as an adult, I realize that's anatomically impossible. But at the time, it made a little girl that didn't fit anywhere feel a sense of comfort. So allow the presence of the Christ to be whatever you need them to be for you to feel that comfort. But recognize there is nothing that you can do to eliminate the fact that your heart is filled with unconditional love and acceptance. What happens again is that we place upon it other things, the societal beliefs, the generational trauma, the cultural mores, the life experiences that we have chosen to participate in for our own personal growth. But this is still here. So it's just like taking out the trash. We just have to say, you know, my family line believes that it's okay to spit on people that are purple. I don't feel comfortable with that. I don't really feel that I want to ascribe to that. Perhaps a purple person betrayed them many, many generations ago, but that really isn't resonating with me. I'm going to release that and allow more of me to interact, intersect with this unconditional love and acceptance. And I always tell people we're going to release, give something to God, but then allow yourself to receive something in its place. So you're giving the pain, receive more of that light of love. See yourself actually doing the exchange. It's not just see ya, it is replacing. Understand the power of repetition. If 10 generations before you practiced, we don't like purple people, it is very common, has been with you for maybe 40 years. You have been practicing this personally, and all of the generations before you have been practicing this. It will feel unusual, perhaps even a little uncomfortable not to practice that. So the minute you go offline, if you have not replaced it with something that feels good, that is more powerful than this belief system, this practiced belief is going to come right back in, whether or not you're in alignment with it. So release this thing that you've decided no longer calls to you and replace it with more love from the divine. Allow yourself to be expanded. And what's going to happen is you will have no more room for these things that are out of balance with you. This light of love is going to take up so much of your energetic space that those discordant things are just noise in the background.
I love that. It sort of feels like you're explaining like the process almost of forgiveness. What have the angels taught you, or what is your also opinion about forgiveness? And is that something that is required in order to heal the heart?
You know, forgiveness is really interesting when we talk about people who are empathic, because empaths tend to forgive the unforgivable automatically. Oh, they didn't mean it. They didn't know. They must not have meant to do that. But to yourself, you say, oh, that's unforgivable. How could you do that, Marcia? What were you thinking? Didn't you know better? So when I work with people who are empathic, I'm not worried that you haven't forgotten excuse me, haven't forgiven every person that has ever done anything going back 16 generations. I am more concerned that you are holding hatred, self-loathing, self-condemnation, criticism against you. Because if you are not functioning fully, you are not able to be the light of love in the world that you came here to be. So when we do, there's the practice, the Ho'oponopono practice. When we do that, we are saying, please forgive me, self, for not loving you, not honoring you, not believing in you. I am so sorry that I kept cutting you down, criticizing you, condemning you, making you believe that you were worthless. I love you. Thank you for hanging in there with me while I went on this journey of discovery so that I could understand that I too was important or
Mm,
am important. Let's not put that one in the past tense.
well, that's so beautiful. And I think it just requires so much self-awareness because, like you said, I mean, you were moving through your life for such a long time where you didn't know you were creating your reality. You didn't understand
Yes, yes,
that.
but I was so happy to be self-deprecating.
Mm,
Oh, you're such an idiot, Marcia. What were you thinking? You always get it wrong. There was never a moment of joy or celebration for myself. For my children, yes, absolutely. You're amazing. You're perfect. You're everything you would ever wanted to be or could or need to be or whatever, over the top for them. For me, you failed again. And it would not matter what I had achieved. There was no satisfying me. So, oh, you climbed Mount Everest? Well, it took you 6 days. You should have done it in 4.
mm,
What's wrong with you? There was never an opportunity to say, I am valuable and I can honor who I am.
mm.
Only to others, never to me.
Yeah. And that's the whole repeating inner dialogue that so many women get caught up in, so many people, and they don't realize it. And I think the when you first start to realize and hear this inner talk, it's actually really scary because you don't know how to stop it, don't want it, but yet it feels almost like it's who you are and what you're part of. So were the angels playing a role? I want to talk more about the angels because that to me is so like beautiful that you're able to do this channel and speak with them. And all the things you're saying, by the way, resonate so beautifully. Are you familiar with the Course in Miracles?
Yes.
Okay, so the Christ consciousness, all that resonates. And there's a whole section in A Course in Miracles about angels. And even in the teachings of Kundalini Yoga, which is what I teach and study as well, we are taught that we are all born with 40 angels, an army of angels that consistently assist us and helps us. Now, in your work today, is it more of the angels channeling to you information, or do they actually come and help you, like do spiritual operations to actually help people or individuals? How does that look like now, today, in your work?
I cannot do this work without them. This is not me. I read some books and I got this great idea. This is them flowing through me. I am the conduit. I hold the space. But when we go into the heart, so let me give you an example for my own self. The one of the examples is um, being very, very worried that I would be seen as selfish. And that would often be used against me as a tool, a manipulation tool to make me do more things. As they knew, they, meaning other people in my life, knew that that was a hot button for me. So if you wanted me to do more than I'm currently doing, you would hint that I was being selfish or just outright say it. So, in order to be relieved of that, I need to understand what this incorrect belief system is doing to me. But I can't go confront it as myself because it would just eat me alive. I've already assigned it a great amount of value in my life. And so I cannot personally go up to that bully of selfish and have a head to head. But when I am in the heart with the presence of the Christ, I can ask the energy of the Christ to go in front. And that is one of the first things that they will teach you is you are no longer alone. You were never alone, but now we're letting it be clear for you to understand that you are not alone and you will not, as we go to confront this energy so that you can see what it really is and decide whether or not you want to release it, as we go to look at this energy, you are not going to be leading the way. The energy of the Christ is in front. And then the other angelic helpers, depending on what it is that you would be releasing. So for selfish, it would be all of the energies of love and self-love. Kuan Yin, Archangel Chamuel, Archangel Raphael, and Saint Germain. Jesus, Archangel Raphael, Saint Germain, and now Archangel Metatron have become like my core people. So they're always with me in some way, but depending on what it is that you are wanting to overcome, different beings will come in to support you with what is wanted. So it's easier for you to release what is not wanted. So we would go to the space that I am energetically holding on to this fear that I will be selfish. And then Jesus, holding the space for me, says, what does this look like to you or feel like? Or is it a temperature or a particular texture? So that I can get to interact safely with this thing. And it might be a six-headed monster that's black and has fangs dripping with blood. Who knows what I'm going to come up with? Something that is significant to me that will feel scary or overwhelming or crushing in some way. And then that will often be hiding something behind it. So that would be like the doorway. That's what I would first encounter when I looked at it. And then Jesus will pull aside whatever is in front so we can go even deeper. And this is what it may be doing to you. And perhaps then I see myself as a little tiny speck in the corner while all of these monstrous energies are poking at me or trying to take something from me. And then Jesus will ask, are you ready to let this go? Do you see that this is not honoring you? It's not allowing you to be in your fullness. And if you agree, and there are times when you are not ready, and that's okay too. But if you agree, then we bring in Archangel Michael, the protector, comes in that 11-foot size, and you and he's holding you, do something to destroy it. Now, we know energy can't be created or destroyed, but we can transform it. So one of my favorite ways to address something that has made me feel terribly small is an old-fashioned TNT machine where you had the handle and you've got the wire that goes to the so Archangel Michael and I, and it just feels so good to blow up this energy, to make it non-existent. It goes back to the divine. And then here comes this new energy, this light of love that says, you are not this thing you thought you were. Here is who you really are. And they'll identify, I call it a writing. They'll give me a writing which describes the part that's unhealed and then the part that is healed. This is your new name. This is how you now identify yourself. This area now becomes your sanctuary. This is greater space that you now have access to that is only filled with love. And it was very interesting with Mother God's explanation on the difference between selfish and selfless, because she needed to help me get ready to go into the heart. This was all still very new to me. And I was having these conversations of, I don't know if this stuff is even working. It's so weird. And, I just make things up sometimes. And so she had to give me an understanding so that I would allow Jesus to lead me through the entirety of the work. I find when I do it for myself, even now, it is much more difficult to stay present and go from beginning to end than when I'm leading someone else. So it's much more challenging to be your own helper than it is to have an outside source keeping you on track. But Mother God said to me, you believe that being selfish is not giving of yourself, of your time and your talent. She said, that, no, yes. She said, you are right. No, hold on. I believed that being selfish was not doing something, not giving of myself freely until I'm exhausted. There was really no limit to what was expected of me or how much I was supposed to give in order to be seen as worthy. And she said that just that thought, that way of being is selfish. We believe that you become selfless when you first allow yourself to heal and then to fill with us. By filling with us, by aligning with us, by allowing yourself to be filled to overflowing with unconditional love and acceptance, You then are not the well that is going to run dry. You are not creating a lot of dependent people by saying, I'll help, I'll help, I'll help, and not teaching them how to help themselves. The old way, when you got exhausted, which was inevitable, all the people around you fell down because they had nothing that was sustaining them. When you do it through us and you offer through your selflessness, you fill and you give from your overflow. And it is your example of filling first that inspires others to fill first and give from their fullness rather than from their humanness.
Oh, that's so powerful and so beautiful. And we all get it so wrong. And it has to do so much with this generational trauma because what happens is we don't feel worthy. Now, the thing about women, and what I've heard is that high immune diseases, serious illnesses like cancer, diabetes, all caused because we take care of other people without honoring ourselves. It's almost like in society we're programmed to believe we are being selfish because we are not. We're doing something for ourselves, and the way you just explained it was actually the reality is that we're being selfish by not taking care of ourselves, and also by one of the things that I find a struggle with, and what recommendations would you give for a woman who struggles with her or her psychic gifts, her spiritual gifts, her ability to connect to the spirit realm, to connect to Jesus Christ, to connect to the angels? Because what I find, especially the women that align in my community, is are women that have not been seen or acknowledged for their gifts as children. Sadly, it's we look at the patterns, and their mother was never acknowledged or seen. I think a lot of it has to do because it has either been made dark and bad, growing up Catholic, that was not something you really spoke about, or because it has been used for the dark forces. So many of our ancient ancestors were involved in, the spirit realm where there were curses and things of that nature. So if a woman what would you say to a woman who is struggling to trust herself and to trust that she is always connected to the Christ consciousness, to the divine, to start to have these conversations that'll help her come back to herself and help her own her worth?
You've got to begin within. You have to spend time in the heart. In the heart, you are seen and heard. Outside in the world, you may be overlooked in the beginning. As you become more clearer and more able to be the powerful being that you already are, it will be impossible for people to overlook you because you'll just be overflowing. It will be impossible for it not to overflow onto everyone. So you'll just be sitting there and you're a blessing without the effort. But in order to begin, when you are not feeling seen and heard, and I certainly can relate to that, go here, meet with the energy of the Christ, feel what it feels like to be seen for who you are and seen as perfect. And now let's recognize they will never come to you and say, Marcia, you could really use some work on that. What were you thinking? They will come to you and say, we see you as perfect. We understand that you're not yet complete, but you are perfect as you are. Every life journey, we have the goal of becoming as the divine already are. They are complete. So our journey is toward the completion that is them. But we are perfect for wherever we are on the journey. It doesn't matter if you're stuck in the dark or you're walking in the light, you are still perfect for where you are because you are learning or gaining or gathering whatever it is that you need in order to get to the next place. So even when I was in the darkness, it was perfect because I needed that information, that desperation, and that despair in order to spend the amount of years that it took me to get fully to this place where I can help others. If I had not been that motivated by the dark, I would have just said, hey, I know enough after a few months of study and I'm going to go have a nice life. I would not have invested the next 20 years into understanding. And I'm still researching and studying and learning and growing. The commitment came from the amount of despair. And I did have a conversation with Mother God one time saying, oh, thank you so much for getting me to this place. However, and this was, I was still pretty early on and didn't understand the fullness of what's available. I said, however, if I ever start to slip back and forget what you have taught me, I give you permission to put me through all of it all over again. Now, it's almost impossible, although we do have free will. So there's an infinitesimal possibility. But once you begin filling with light, it is so addictive. It is so honoring. You will seek out more light. And it's very unlikely that you're going to start back into your old patterns. Don't expect overnight transformation. Expect steady growth as long as you are committed to seeing yourself as you are, and recognize that no one outside of you is going to see you until you can see you. So I was still getting letters about, you're so selfish, long after I had left all of that behind. And that was really a good reminder for me of how far I had come. And by the fact that that no longer bothered me or caused any form of manipulation in my energetic field, I was like, kind of glad they they chose those words, because I'm realizing what a wonderful journey it's been and how far I am from where I used to be. So it's a process, but it's perfect everywhere along the way. And this is another thing they shared with me. They said, just allow yourself to be perfect. And I had 10,000 excuses about why I wasn't. And they said, you're not perfect for yesterday. You probably won't be perfect for tomorrow, but you're not there and you're not here. You are only in this moment, and you are perfect for where you are at this time. If you allow yourself to be here and to recognize, no matter what I am doing, even if it is dancing in the dark, I am perfect for where I need to be, and I can open and ask for guidance so that I can be perfect in the next moment. If we address every moment with love and honor, we can move forward. If we are the old Marcia and every moment is filled with condemnation, we will move deeper into the darkness.
Oh my gosh, that is so, so powerful. It seems so simple, but yet we make it so difficult.
Oh my gosh. 10 years of constant, am I getting it right? To get to the place where I could relax enough to just say, I'm just going to be. I'm going to be in this moment. And if I feel wobbly, I'll ask for help. And please remember to ask for confirmation. We live in a noisy world. It is easy to get distracted, to feel like perhaps you're not getting it right or doing what you're supposed to, or don't be in the I hope so space. Get in the I know so space by asking them for confirmation. And how does confirmation come? In whatever way you need it. They are not limited. They can send you a license plate, a billboard, a song on the radio, a hummingbird, a number sequence. They can send someone to your door with a missive. Just be open. And then if you feel that you did not get any kind of confirmation after a significant amount of time has passed, say, hey, God, I think I missed it. It's not them refusing you. They will refuse no one. It is you not paying attention for whatever reason. So just be honest. Hey, I missed it. Could you send me that confirmation again and continue to send it until I am able to recognize it and acknowledge it? Create a dialogue, a two-way line of communication with the understanding that they will never refuse you. They see you as perfect. They love you. And there is nothing that you can say or do that will change them in any way. They have already decided they are going to be love, joy, and peace. If you want to come and be a serial killer, you certainly have the right to do that. They will love you anyway. They will love the soul that is you, the essence of you. They will try to guide you away from that behavior, but they will still love you.
Goodness. And just the frequency, I feel that you really just speak from the heart, from that place of what you're teaching others, which I guess to close, I would love to know, what is your work like with individuals? Do you work one-on-one with people? Do you work in a group setting? Is it like sessions? What do you recommend?
It's both. And it's both because when I started, it was all one-on-one. We meet for at least 2 hours at a time. We need an hour for you to be heard and seen, and then an hour to work in the heart to really affect the change. But when COVID hit, it became apparent that there was more trauma being exposed in the world, and more of us were able to recognize that we may be interacting with trauma on a daily basis, and yet there was less funding. And so, angels, what should I do? And now we've created a nonprofit. So if you want the one-on-one, you will pay the set fee. If you are unable to pay for private care like that, then come in a group and you pay what you can.
Beautiful. That's amazing. And I love how you just reconnected back to the angels to get those answers and to get,
I we're a team. I don't really do anything without their support. And they're so fun. That's the other thing that we need to remember. The presence of the divine is so massive that it may sometimes feel uncomfortable for us to interact with it. So our first interaction in the heart is always with the energy of the Christ, because that's what they want you to know more than anything. They want you to know that you are loved and accepted. But then we all have specific things. What if I need healing? What if I need um, help with legal issues? What if I need help with my children or other relationships? And they specialize in these different things. And so then that being that is really good at that thing that you need will come forward to help you. So you're getting their strength. And it's just sort of I want to say diluted, but that's not the right word. It's only the energy of that thing. Yes, they are still part of the divine, but instead of the whole, they may only have the energy of healing. And then if that's what you need, it will be easier for you to connect with that than trying to pick out healing from the whole entirety. So that's why they come in these little specific roles as opposed to everybody doing everything. It's just easier for us.
powerful, powerful. My goodness. I feel like you are the angel that was sent to me and to this audience to really just allow people to become empowered in knowing their inner power and knowing how supported and how they're never alone. So thank you for
Never. And remember, the angels are like the best kinds of kids. You know, when kids, let's say you're two, and it's your first experience in this life being consciously aware of something like a butterfly or a ladybug, or they don't just, kids are like, that's what the angels are like to work with. They have no, they're not in this physical world. There's nothing going on in their life that doesn't feel good. They are so fun and they help you to lighten up and have fun. And yeah, okay, we got to get things done. They are all about getting it done, but they are never about dragging you into the boring lecture of boring lectures and telling you why you didn't get it right. It's always, there's always another way. We can do this. Yes, let's go. So expect to be uplifted and supported and guided, but never chastised or dragged down or feel like you're getting a talking to. They're having too much fun and they want you to as well.
Oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. Well, I'd like to ask you our last questions to close off today. I always ask our guests this question. What does the word sovereignty mean to you?
I would have to say divine. When you are sovereign, you are in alignment with the divine and able to be all that you came here to be, understanding that there is no one and nothing that is more important in your life than you, and that no one outside of you has any power over you that you have not given them. So at any time that you are uncomfortable, you simply take your power back.
Beautiful. Absolutely powerful. Where can they find you? What's the easiest place to find you? And I'll make sure I'll put your links below, but I wanted you to mention it as well.
Well, please visit our website. Right now, I'm giving away an ebook. It's 11 ways in which we resist angelic assistance. And this is just, maybe you're not recognizing the cultural, societal, familial beliefs that are hanging on. Or maybe you have some religious training that is not honoring all that you are. Or any of these other ways in which we are engaging in this little micro self-sabotaging that may be keeping us from our fullness. So you can sign up for the mailing list. You'll immediately get the ebook after you confirm your desire to be on the list. And then you'll get a weekly inspiration that just something about universal truth that I want to remind you of. And that website is thehearthealingfoundation.org. And we also have a YouTube channel where I am teaching about these things as the angels bring it to mind, just practical ways to use spirituality in your everyday life. Don't make it hard, but understand that there are a lot of challenges in this life. And isn't it so much more fun and so much more relaxing to have tools, to have assistance, to have answers than to just feel like I'm overwhelmed and nobody cares.
Yes, for sure. Well, thank you, Marcia. It has been such an honor, a pleasure to be have you on the podcast. You've opened my heart in so many ways. I will forever be grateful, and I can't wait for the audience to also hear this message and to integrate it and to embody it. Thank you for being part of today's podcast episode. You know where to find us. To find us on Spotify, on YouTube. This is a community that we are fostering, a sanctuary house where you are feeling safe to holistically heal not just yourself, but past generations. Thank you, Marcia. We'll see you.
Thank you so much.